Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, good morning to the April 27th Assembly Appropriations Committee hearing. Noting the current absence of a quorum, will begin as a subcommittee. Welcome, Mr. Cooley. I believe you're first. You hold.
Good morning, colleagues.
I just want to make sure that you are presenting on AB 2228. It has a due pass recommendation, and you may proceed.
There we go. Are we on? There we go. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. That's fine. It was good for the members, actually, for a while. Now it'll get worse. This bill grows out of experience in the city of Rancho Cordova, which is a very old community. The Pony Express rode through Rancho Cordova in the day. A lot of our growth in housing was in the 50s and 60s. We have a lot of older neighborhoods. And the all-important challenge in our city, which is typical of many cities, is how do you maintain older neighborhoods, quality of older neighborhoods, protect the property values in older neighborhoods. In our city of Rancho Cordova, we've done that by developing a strong effort to strengthen code enforcement, and not just code enforcement in isolation, but code enforcement that is trained to work in collaboration with the police department, with probation, with other units of local government, to, in a teamwork way, promote strong, healthy neighborhoods. This bill builds on that in the sense that it would establish a voluntary certification program for code enforcement officers. It specifies what are the areas of expertise that this association would develop criteria for what it means to be a certified code enforcement officer. And as I say, it involves not just the substantive law skills of how to deal with homelessness and building codes and these sorts of things, but also how to develop the skill set to collaborate productively with other agencies of local government, most notably law enforcement. So you kind of work together to improve the quality of a neighborhood. So this bill simply establishes a framework for a voluntary certification. It will have no impact upon pension-related issues. It just starts systematizing the role of code enforcement and creating a career track where people can establish that they are certified. And so then as they pursue their careers, that's one of the attributes that they bring a prospective employer. So it will foster greater uniformity and professionalism. Here today's support is Carrie Simpson of the California Association of Code Enforcement Officers. This is the organization that is asked to develop this certification framework. And John Lovell is here as well on behalf of the police chiefs of California.
Good morning.
2 minutes each, please.
Yes, Carrie Simpson. I'm the Code Enforcement Manager for the City of Rancho Cordova. I think if I could just ask for you to take into consideration the two things that we're really excited about being able to bring forth with this bill is having folks trained in the area of making sure they don't violate people's rights, that when code enforcement officers go on property that they're not violating people's rights and they're not becoming an issue for their organization, becoming an issue where the organization could get sued. And secondly, for their personal safety, that code enforcement officers that are out there in the profession are getting trained appropriately so that they have personal safety and again are not putting themselves in harm's way or putting their jurisdiction in harm's way. Thank you so much to Mr. Cooley for supporting this bill.
Thank you, Carrie.
Before you start, if that's okay, if we can establish quorum, because it may not happen again soon. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Gonzalez.
Present.
Bigelow.
Present.
Bloom.
Here.
Bonilla. Bonta. Calderon.
Here.
Chang. Daly.
Here.
Eggman. Gallagher. Garcia. Hernandez. Holden. Jones. Obernotti.
Here.
Quirk.
Here.
Santiago.
Here.
Wagner.
Here.
Weber. Wood.
Thank you for allowing us that. Go ahead, Mr. Lovell.
John
Move the
Lovell,
bill.
John Lovell, on behalf of a coalition of law enforcement groups who've come together to support this bill. Ms. Simpson, I think, made the case well. This bill was thoroughly vetted in Policy Committee, and we commend Mr. Cooley for bringing this bill forward.
Thank you. Any other speakers in support? Any speakers in opposition? Department of Finance?
Good morning, members. Erica Lee with the Department of Finance, and Finance has no fiscal policy concerns with this bill.
Thank you. I saw or heard a motion from Mr. Corker, second by Mr. Wood. Are there any questions from the committee? See none, that gets out on an A roll call. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Cooley.
very much. Thank you, colleagues.
I think Ms. Brown is up next. Ms. Brown, I see you have one bill, AB 2425, and it's a candidate for suspense.
Yes,
You may
ma'am.
proceed.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. AB 245 will require the California Department of Public Health to adopt standards and protocols that establish statewide uniform site reporting for unintentional injury incidents. The bill also requires the department to work collaboratively with the state and local leaders that are involved with health and safety, and to periodically reconvene with these stakeholders to modify the standards and protocols that are established. I will work with the committee to address the concerns and costs that were raised in the analysis and continue working with the opposition to address their concerns. This is an important bill that will help streamline our current system and help reduce the number of unintentional deaths and injuries that harm children in California. One of the problems that I see with many of our departments is that we lack data. This is another one of those data collection bills that I think is important. I'm not sure if I have the witnesses that came.
Do we have witnesses in support?
It's a little early in the morning. They may not.
Great, it's
make it.
early. Are there any witnesses in opposition? There's one coming up. If you can limit your testimony to 2 minutes, thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Betsy Armstrong on behalf of the County Health Executives Association, representing California's local health departments, as well as the Emergency Medical Services Administrators, our EMS administrators at the local level. Unfortunately, we must remain opposed to this bill as it's currently written. We do believe that this data is actually collected. I think it's a matter of where you access the data. As the bill is written, we do have some tremendous concerns about who would actually collect the data at the local level and the impacts both fiscally on already strapped staff as well as staff.
Thank you. Any other speakers in opposition? Department of Finance?
No file.
Ms. Brown, would you like to close?
I ask for your aye vote as this moves to suspense. And as I said earlier, we must get a handle on data collection so that it is accessible to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? Thank you, Ms. Brown. We're going to bring up Mr. Jones Sawyer. Just as way of explanation for people in the audience or who are here for the first time, this is a different day at the Capitol. It's Denim Day, so a lot of us have jeans on. But the Democratic women Assembly members are also wearing janitorial uniforms in solidarity with the countless women who work at night and unfortunately get raped on the night shift. So if you wonder why we don't always dress alike, Ms. Bonilla and I, but today is a special day. Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Jones Sawyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. AB 2735 would authorize designated public employees to elect annually to be paid at their regular rate of pay for up to 80 hours of eligible unused leave credit based on the department's fiscal budget. In current policy, managers are allowed 80 hours, and non-managers such as supervisors, confidentials, and other excluded employees are only allowed 40 hours of unused leave available for buyback. This bill would equate the number of hours for buyback to 80 for both state supervisors and managers, removing the discrepancy in the number of hours. Members, this bill makes no appropriation, and payments can only be made out of existing department funds if they are deemed available for this purpose. Also, according to a March 2013 report by the LAO, the state's liability to pay employee balances total $3.9 billion as of June 2013. The LAO recommended that the legislature act to reduce leave balance liabilities by instituting a leave buyback program because it reduces the employer's outstanding long-term liabilities. CalHR has authorized 80 hours for supervisors and managers for this year only. The regulation establishing the reduced 40 hours buyback level for designated employees remains, and this legislation will make it equal. Here to testify in support is Ted Toppin, representing the Association of State Supervisors. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. In support, the bill has been moved in second.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Ted Toppin for the Association of California State Supervisors. We certainly thank Mr. Joyce Sawyer for introducing this bill. Obviously, he knows this issue well as a manager public servant. I cannot improve on his testimony. He got it pretty well. I will just amplify one piece, and that is the equity piece. State supervisors and managers would like to be able to receive the same benefits that their rank and file counterparts do. The state has reached collective bargaining agreements with rank and file units that provide 80 hours of potential leave buyback for rank and file employees. Their supervisors and managers deserve the same consideration, and I would urge an aye vote.
Thank you. Any other speakers in support? Speakers in opposition? Department of Finance?
The Department of Finance is opposed to this bill. Current regulations state that excluded managerial employees can buy back leave hours up to 80 hours and excluded non-managerial employees up to 40 hours. This bill raises the cap for non-managerial employees to 80 hours to match other excluded employees.
Thank you. Are there any questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, it does enjoy a due pass recommendation. I think it was Mr. Quirk made the motion, Mr. Woods seconded it, and it gets out on an A roll call. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Committee.
We need more members to present. I'm going to take this opportunity to go to a different committee, so I'm going to turn this over to the Vice Chair, Mr. Bigelow, but we have no members to present. We are going to give it 10 minutes, and then we will close down appropriations if there are no members present to present. Oh, Mr. Quirk has a presentation. Very good. Thank you.
Quirk. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and members. AB 2089 requires county officials to notify a voter if his or her vote by mail ballot was not counted. In November 2012 elections, 51% of Californians voted by mail. Almost 60,000 votes were not counted. In 2014, only 400 votes separated the second and third candidates in the state controller's race. We're clearly losing many more votes than sometimes will make a difference in an election.
We have a motion and a second.
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Do you have a witness in support?
No witnesses to respect everyone's time.
Thank you. Any witnesses from the audience? Any opposition? Department of Finance?
No file.
Questions from members? Seeing none, this has a due pass with a B roll call.
Thank you.
Madam Chang, Mr. Obernolte and Mr. Gallagher are an aye. Who do we have? Mr. Mullen. Thank you. I appreciate that. I did correct myself. I caught it. Mr. Mullen, would you like to present? Mr. Mullen, you have several bills. You have 2 on suspense, 1 on consent. Would you like to present on just the one?
I'll take up AB 2126.
Thank you.
With your approval, Mr. Vice Chair.
Absolutely.
AB 2126, thank you, Vice Chair and members. AB 2126 simply increases Caltrans' existing authority to use the construction manager general contractor procurement method from 6 projects to 12.
You have a motion and a second. Would you like to continue, or would you like to have your witnesses?
Just like to say that Caltrans is currently estimating project savings of 10% from using CMGC on the previously authorized projects. There are 6 already authorized. We're expanding it to 12. Potential savings could be realized from these additional projects. With that, I would ask for an aye vote.
This is a very good bill, so would you witness?
Thank you, Matt Robinson, on behalf of the San Mateo City County Association of Governments. As the chair said, this is a very good bill. It will help us facilitate the 101 improvement project in San Mateo County, which is going to be an HOV lane project. We've been working with the department along with the San Mateo County Transportation Authority, which has identified CMGC, as was mentioned by Mr. Mullen, as the appropriate tool for that project. So with that, I'd ask for your aye vote.
Gus Corey, on behalf of the San Mateo County Transportation Authority, I'll affiliate my comments with Mr. Robinson. Thank the author for pursuing efficient project delivery methods. Ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other witnesses in support? Witnesses from the audience in support? Witnesses in opposition? Department of Finance.
Yes, Finance opposes this bill. While Caltrans estimates it will likely realize 10% savings through the use of the construction manager general contractor method on its existing 6 pilot projects, we note that this bill requires Caltrans to use employees or consultants under contract with the department for design and engineering services on 8 of the 12 pilot projects. This limits Caltrans' ability to partner with local agencies that may have more cost-efficient options available for this project delivery method. Thank you.
Any questions from members? This bill is out on a support with an A roll call.
Thank you. And Mr. Vice Chair, members.
Did you want to close? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Would you like to close?
Oh, I'm sorry. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
It's out on an A roll call.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mr. Vice Chair, if you'd allow me to just ever so briefly comment here on an item that I believe is going to the suspense file,
yes,
AB 2182, which would establish a 4-year grant-funded pilot program in a total of 3 school districts to provide student athletes with baseline and post-injury neurocognitive testing. In my district in San Mateo County, school districts have been involved in an effort to provide baseline and post-injury neurocognitive testing for their student athletes. Their numbers show that this could be done for far less than what is suggested in the analysis. I'd like to share that data with the committee so we can hopefully rework some of the cost estimates in the analysis, particularly the one that indicates it could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. We believe strongly this is not the case. So we will be sharing that information with committee. It's not just about physical health, but also the long-term cognitive health of our high school athletes, and we'll be working with the Department of Education to identify sources of funds. So just wanted to put that on the record, Madam Chair and Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions of the presenter? Thank you, Mr. Wong.
Thank you.
Mr. Chow.
Next, we have Mr. Chow. Just presenting on a suspense candidate.
That's correct. Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members. AB 1972 would allow disabled veterans to receive the Distinguished Veteran Pass, which allows them free lifetime entry into the state park system, regardless of whether they served during peacetime or wartime. Under current law, veterans who become disabled while serving during peacetime are not eligible for a Distinguished Veteran Pass. I respectfully disagree with the cost estimate that the Department of Parks and Recreations provided, which is reflected also in the analysis. The analysis essentially states that the physical impact to the state park will be $1.7 million if half of the 60,000 peacetime eligible disabled veterans will obtain that pass. However, statistics clearly indicates that even in the peak years when the most disabled veterans have obtained the pass, only 1.2% of the pool of eligible veterans received the pass. In the entire 37-year history of the program, only 13.6% of the eligible disabled wartime veterans have obtained that pass. If we break that down by veterans, it would be $57 per veteran. And if we take a conservative amount of even 2% of the newly eligible veterans, which yields to 1,200 peacetime disabled veterans, which is significantly over the historical trend, then you multiply that new pool of eligible veterans, namely 1,200, by $57, the cost will come up to about $68,000, which is significantly less than the $1.7 million as estimated by the Department of Parks and Recreation. For those reasons, I believe the cost is much less than what is stated. So with that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Are there any witnesses in support? Would you like to come state your name and affiliation?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair.
You can come to the microphone, please.
Good morning to each of the members of the Assembly. My name is Jonathan Bibbins. I am
Can sit down and speak in the microphone. Thank you.
Honorably discharged Vietnam veteran Jonathan Bibbins, and I would be in agreement with Mr. Chow. There are a number of issues that the veterans have been promised over the years. We just celebrated 50 years of the Vietnam conflict, and there's been a number that have not gone through or been passed because of the lack of respect for the Vietnam veterans, and that has gone on over the number of years. So I'm in agreement with this, and it would be a benefit to our veterans to let them know that our Assembly and our state government is for their support in supporting the defense of this country.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for your service. Are there any other witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Department of Finance?
No file, Madam Chair.
Great. This is a suspense candidate. Are there any questions by my colleagues? Thank you, Mr. Oh, there is. Mr. Gallagher.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm very supportive of this bill. I have a similar measure that allows for a discount on hunting and fishing licenses for veterans, and the recreational benefits associated with that helping veterans get out and recreate is documented helps with many of the things that veterans are struggling with post-war, but also encourages getting people out into the outdoors, which is another thing. We need more people out there recreating. We've seen losses in people visiting our state parks and out recreating in our public land. So I think this is a good bill, and hopefully we'll be able to get this out of here when it comes time for suspense calendar.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chow. Next, Ms. Lopez. I believe you have two bills on suspense. You're going to be presenting on AB 1809. Is that correct? Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Today I am pleased to present AB 1809, which removes barriers for save money for state poorest families with children. This bill ensures that families are stable financially after they leave CalWORks. AB 1809 remove the access test would be continued to unload income work requirements for the CalWORk program. With me, I have Shirley Earn and Carrie from CWDA.
Good morning, Chair Gonzalez and committee members. My name is Cheryl Lane. I work for nonprofit EARN. We help low-wage workers save. I will focus my remarks on the analysis related to increase in cases as a result of eliminating the asset test. So we commissioned some research on the issue and cost effectiveness. 8 states have completely eliminated the TANF, the asset test for their TANF programs, and saw little to no increase in caseloads, which demonstrates that caseloads do not significantly increase as a result of eliminating asset test guidelines. Most applicants for TANF already have limited assets, so that eliminating asset tests greatly simplifies program administration without significantly increasing the caseload. And just for some data, states that eliminated asset test guidelines experienced a 66% decline in average monthly caseloads compared to states that did not eliminate asset test guidelines. We also found that it was statistically significant in Virginia and Louisiana when they eliminated their caseload. It was a result of when they eliminated their TANF asset test. It was a result of the caseload decrease was a result of eliminating the asset test. Hawaii and Illinois in 2013 are the last 2 states to eliminate their TANF asset guidelines. Illinois experienced a 4% decline in yearly average caseload. Hawaii experienced a 6% average caseload decrease. So we believe California, like the other states who have eliminated their asset tests, will also see a similar increase, and the data backs that up. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Kathy Sunderling McDonald with the County Welfare Directors Association, also in support of the legislation. I'm going to focus on the portion of the analysis related to the administrative costs and potential savings. While the test today that we do have to value individuals' assets adds work to the eligibility process for our staff, we're trying to really renew the program and really have a greater focus on helping identify barriers to success both for the individual parents as well as their children, and ensure that they get services so the parents can get back into the workforce and ultimately get off the program. If our workers were freed up from having to do the asset test, they'd be able to focus their time on identifying those issues and helping find or secure services to overcome those barriers, ultimately resulting in savings to the program. For those reasons, we're in support and urge your consideration on suspense.
Thank you. If we can just go to Me Too's now.
Thank you, Chairwoman, members of the committee. Jessica Bartholomew with the Western Center on Law and Poverty. We are co-sponsor and support.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, Christopher Castriot on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco and the Office of Mayor Ed Lee in support.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Rosanna Carvacho on behalf of the Alameda County Board of Supervisors, also in support.
Witnesses in opposition? Seeing none. Department of Finance?
No file.
Are there any questions? This is a suspense candidate. Is there anything else, Ms. Lopez?
I just respectfully ask for your vote.
Thank you. Ms. Irwin?